Testing. All right. Yes, y'all. From the Dave Campbell's Texas Football Mothership in beautiful Carrollton, Texas, it is DCTF Live, an internet show for you to enjoy. My name is Greg Tepper. I'm the managing editor of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, a magazine, and TexasFootball.com, a website. Thank you for spending part of your day with us, either online, watching live at TexasFootball.com, as we're here every weekday at noon, talking football in the Lone Star State, or on the podcast, which you can subscribe to on iTunes. You can do either of those things. Your life, you know. I'm sitting there is Max Thompson. Hello, Max.
Hello, Greg.
We are about 28 hours from sending the 2016 summer edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football to press. Our hair is presently on fire.
It doesn't look like it's on fire.
It's kind of on fire.
Boy, that would be bad. It's a great head of hair.
So we are rolling. It's too much hair.
Wow.
Friday, I'm going to get a haircut. It's going to be
but you know, sometimes
amazing.
you can go a little too high and tight for my liking.
Nope, I'm going as high, as tight as possible. Today is Tuesday, May 31st, 2016, episode 141, the number of RBI for Mike Napoli in his illustrious Texas Rangers career.
Boy.
Saint Mike Napoli, if we may.
Former Red Sox great.
What a guy. A little bit later, we're going to be joined by James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, to discuss some running backs in the 2017 class. And you're excited about this. You were cutting film on these guys earlier, and these guys can fly.
Clipping these highlights, I was like, oh, well, this will be easily be the most entertaining group of highlights we've watched on this show.
Look, I love me some offensive linemen, okay?
Sure.
I love me some offensive linemen.
I love linebackers.
Linebackers, fantastic. Yeah, especially big plotting middle linebackers, a lot of fun. There's nothing quite like watching highlights from just a burner running back.
And maybe my favorite thing, and James Lott won't notice this, but if you're watching on the show, you'll see Toniel Carter.
From Langham Creek, yeah.
His highlights, he's mixed in all of his special teams kickoff coverage plays. Him running down the field and burning someone.
Just at full speed.
Just getting him at the 5-yard line and pinning him. Pretty great.
So we're going to discuss those here in a little bit, and in a moment we're going to get in some headlines, including we have a new head coach in the state of Texas in the FBS ranks.
Yeah.
We will discuss that decision, I suppose, here in a moment.
Lots of things to think about there.
Yeah. So Friday we were here.
Yes.
Working, and our boss walked in and said, hey, got 2 tickets to the Rangers game on Saturday night.
Yes, he did.
If you want to take a break and go out there. And they were courtesy of our friends at Fox Sports Southwest, and they were actually in the Fox Sports Southwest
He threw them down on the floor between us and expected us to fight for them.
And we did.
That is
and
not
I
what
won.
happened. That's not what happened.
So my wife and I went to the Rangers game on Saturday after I worked pretty much like 7 a.m. until like 5, and then went to the game.
Because thankfully for you, I already had dinner plans.
You already had dinner plans.
Yeah.
So we go to the game, and it was actually Baylor night, which talk about timing.
Yes.
First of all, I've never sat in. I'm not like you. I don't live in a lap of luxury. I'd never sat in a suite for a baseball game. I've sat
many know, that's the only way I will watch a baseball.
Correct. I've been in suites here and there and everywhere, but not at a baseball game. Very choice, very, very. I certainly understand the allure. It's very, very nice. Enjoyed myself. Thank you to Fox Sports Southwest for the hospitality. The reason I bring this up is that I'm walking up the stairs and they're like fanning you. They're carrying you on a little like chariot type thing.
That's not what happens.
But we're walking up the stairs, and coming down the stairs is kind of a tallish black guy, and I go, oh. That's Robert Griffin III.
Oh,
sure
Baylor
enough.
Throwing out first
Baylor,
pitch?
He threw out the first pitch. He actually gave away his foundation, gave away a house to a veteran. Apparently,
Damn.
I think it's. I want to get this right because it's a worthy cause. You're listening to live coverage of me looking up the name of Robert Griffin's.
Unlike any other.
Yes, the Family of Three. The Family of Three Foundation is the Robert Griffin III Foundation, and they give. They apparently give houses to like veterans, and so they like introduce this guy on the big jumbotron and say, "Oh, he's a." You're thinking Memorial Day weekend. It's like he's like a 25-year veteran of the armed forces. He'd been deployed like 4 times. Like, oh, very cool. Let's all stand up and give him a round of applause. And then the PA announcer Chuck Morgan goes, "And you've been given a house by Robert Griffin III Foundation." This dude was as stunned as you would be if somebody just gave you a house.
Right.
So, pretty cool stuff. But Robert Griffin III, I ran into him and I said, "Hey, what's going on, Robert?" And gave him a little bit of dap and stuff like that. And he did not recognize me from the 2012 cover shoot of the winter edition of Dave Campbell's Texas Football.
No reason.
A little hurt. He didn't recognize me. Like, oh, Greg, from that time that I was doing all those media appearances.
Yeah. You were one of 30 at the time, I'm sure.
Yes, so it was a lot of fun. I got to see RG3, which was neat. So that was my Saturday, and then the rest of the weekend, literally the rest of the weekend, I was buried in pages. So
that's a lot of pages.
Exactly. These are full of edits. Is what these are. These are full of edits. I have to make it today because we go to press tomorrow at 4. Hip hip hooray! We're DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and we have a website. All right, Maximilian. Let's get to some headlines. And the first and foremost, probably the biggest headline across the state, is that Baylor, fresh on the heels of firing head coach Art Briles on Thursday, has hired. We were wondering what their situation was going to be going into 2016. There were reports that maybe Phil Bennett, the defensive coordinator, is going to take over, but that would kind of preclude him from being fired if he was involved in this horrifying scandal. And so Baylor has made the decision. The last thing that Ian McCall, their athletic director, did before he resigned was that he hired an interim coach. And he hired interim coach Jim Grobe. And Jim Grobe may be a name you recognize if you remember college football back in the late 2000s. He was the head coach at Wake Forest for, 13 seasons? Is that right?
Like that, yeah.
He was there from 2001 to 2013. Jim Grobe will be by all accounts, he is going to be the interim guy. And the idea is he will steer them during the 2016 season, and they will have a full hiring process, which may or may not involve Jim Grobe, if he does a great job, to find a permanent head coach. So Jim Grobe.
Why Jim Grobe?
So there are two things that I can say about Jim Grobe. One, there's one thing I can say about him. Is that his ethics are totally and 100% unimpeachable, unchallenged,
beyond reproach.
He is the squeaky clean. Everybody loves him.
Yep. There isn't a person that doesn't think this.
He's a gentleman by all accounts. He is one of the nicest guys in college football. Yes. He is shake your hand, kiss your baby, how you doing? Very in that kind of politician way. Nobody has a bad thing to say about Jim Grobe. Right. That is probably the only good thing I can say about Jim Grobe.
But it's also
exactly what Baylor needs.
The most important thing you can say.
It's the most important thing because what Baylor needs right now is a face that is beyond reproach. They need somebody who's going to be able to stand up there at press conferences and not be asked about, oh, hey, what's up with all the rapes on your campus?
Yeah.
And Jim Grobe is the kind of guy that gives you that face for the program that says, "Hey, I'm the nice guy. You don't want to yell at the nice guy, right?"
Yeah.
And that's exactly what Jim Grobe is. He's a nice, to me, figurehead to come in and kind of guide the program through what will be a very tumultuous 2016 season, regardless of what happens.
Right.
Regardless of what happens with these incoming freshmen, whether or not they're enrolling, which there's mixed results there.
It sure doesn't look good.
The 2016, they've still got to recruit a 2017 class, and all of that fun stuff. He is there to, as I kind of said this weekend, he is there instead of crashing this thing into the ditch. Yeah. He's just going to kind of steer it over to the side of the road very nicely.
Let's all slow down here. Exactly. Let's take a breath.
It's worth mentioning that Jim Grobe's not a very good coach, I don't think.
I don't think they
he
really
had
care.
one really amazing year with Wake Forest, which hey, one really amazing year with Wake Forest is pretty impressive. He took them to the Orange Bowl in 2006.
Yeah.
That's impressive. But beyond that, it's kind of a whole bunch of nothing in the Jim Grobe coaching catalog.
To be fair to him, and obviously these aren't opinions that aren't shared by lots of people, to be fair to him, Wake Forest is considered probably the worst FBS job there is.
Yeah. I mean, it's up there, with some other ones, but
the facilities, everything about it. It's a horrible place to try and win.
It's a very tough place to try to win. That doesn't change the fact that he's just not a very good coach, but I also don't think that's why he's being brought in. I think what he's being brought in to do is to stave off all the media and stave off all the criticism.
We're cleaning this up.
And say, we're cleaning this up and be the figurehead that comes in and gets things into shipshape. And then as far as the football is concerned, he's going to let the coordinators, should they stay on, let them do the job. Now, Jim Grobe is probably, if you are looking for Jim Grobe to go out there and bring home some 5-star recruits for the 2017 class, it's probably not happening.
No.
The 2017 class, unless the and even then, I was going to say, unless the coordinators do a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the assistant coaches do a lot of the heavy lifting.
But how do you convince these kids to come when you probably aren't going to be there?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the other thing, is that you're now facing a situation where you're saying, okay, well, hey, you should come play for Baylor because Baylor's a great place. I might not be there, but you should definitely come to Baylor because Baylor's a great place.
It's pretty tricky.
So it's a very sticky wicket that Baylor finds itself in. In the short long term, if that makes sense.
Depends on
in the next year, 18 months.
Yeah. Depends on how you juggle timelines in your head.
Because here's the thing: if you're Joe Schmo recruit, right, and Baylor comes to your house and they say, "Hey, here's the pitch. Here's what you want to do." If you're Texas and you want that same kid, all you're going to say is like, "You seeing that?
Yeah.
You seeing all the craziness that's going on in Baylor?" You really want to walk into a situation that you don't even know what it's going to be in 6 months, or let alone or 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Let alone by your senior year. So I think Baylor's at a super huge disadvantage now as far as that's concerned. This is why. Look, there's a reason why programs don't fire coaches in May. Mm-hmm. Okay. The reason is that that college football, from a recruiting aspect and from a team preparation standpoint, is a year-round thing. Yeah. You got to be able to get this thing going. Get these things going all year round. Yeah. And so, by firing Art Briles, which again we've said was the right move, given what we now know from the Tepper Hamilton report, which we'll see if we ever see that full thing, but. What I'm saying is that it's the right thing it's the right thing to do, but it's not the best thing for the program. It's far from the best thing for the program.
Right.
Yeah, now you can say from if you want to take the 50,000-foot view and say, all right, this is the best long-term move if you're viewing this in terms of a decade.
But as far as on the field,
returns in the next 2 to 3 years, this is about as bad as it could get.
Yeah.
This is about as bad as it could get. And Baylor only has themselves to blame. Right. That they brought this upon themselves for letting this spiral out of control. And now, who knows what the NCAA is going to have to say? Who knows if Who knows? They're still. I feel very bad. I got a couple calls from reporters who asked me my opinion and stuff, and I feel very bad because I feel like in this era of the hot take, you're supposed to have this really hot take.
Yeah.
And my hot take on the matter is we got to see how everything falls. Like we got to take a long-term approach to this because we don't know what Baylor's going to look like. And anybody who tells you that they know that Baylor's going to be amazing in a couple of years or they know that Baylor's going to be terrible in a couple of years is talking out of their rear end. Nobody knows because we don't know how this is all going to fall. We don't know how this is all going to settle. We don't know who the next long-term coach there at Baylor is. All we know right now, the facts on the ground is that Jim Grobe is going to be the head coach for Baylor in 2016. That's probably not a great on-field decision, but it's probably the best decision the program could have made. So that's where we're at with that. One other little nugget here. We got where I think it was Friday. Houston Lamar safety.
Yeah.
Grant Delpit.
That's right.
Is transferring to the much-hated IMG Academy. He is heading to IMG Academy, he said, for his senior year. I imagine Tom Nolan's not particularly pleased with this down there with the Texans. This is a guy who is expected to be a key part of this, of what's always a very fierce Lamar defense. The cupboard's far from empty, though. I mean, Grant Delpit is a very nice player, but that by no means, I think really takes a big shot at what Lamar could be, which could be really good. So Grant Delpit off to IMG Academy. Another one that's going over there to the very controversial academy there in Florida. So we are DCTF Live. We're here every weekday at noon on TexasFootball.com. Talking football in the Lone Star State. You can follow us on Twitter at DCTF. You can like us on Facebook, Facebook.com/Dave Campbells. You can follow us on Instagram, Instagram.com/Dave Campbells. And, of course, see us at TexasFootball.com. One guy who's committed to staying here in the state of Texas is the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. We are pleased to be joined on the phone now by James Lott. James, how are you?
Great, guys. Just enjoying the weather, just taking it easy, but ready to talk about the burners.
Yeah, I'll tell you. We were talking about it before you came on that Max is cutting film to show in the background, and we were saying, look, we love the big plotting middle linebacker. That's a real old school, man after my own heart there. And I love watching offensive linemen work. Really technically sound offensive linemen. There is something very aesthetically pleasing about watching these three guys run the ball because it is. You just kind of go. It's a roller coaster. You throw your hands in the air and you go, whee! These guys are fun.
Exactly, and they're exciting to watch. And there are different versions. All three guys have their specialties, but the kid that I like the most just jumps off the tape immediately when you look at him is the kid Tonell Carter out of Langham Creek High School, 5'10 and a half, 190 pounds. This kid is special. He in 2015 he rushed 142 touchdowns for over 1,200 yards, had 17 touchdowns. 2014 he rushed 189 times for over 1,300 yards. Just an exceptional, explosive kid with explosive burst through the whole, very elusive, cat-like quickness, can stop and start on a dime. Just a special guy to watch. But what's more special about this kid is kind of where he came from. A lot of people may not know this, but Carter's a kid that relocated to the Houston area from after the Katrina catastrophe down there. But he's had a very, very rough upbringing and has basically been raised the last several years by his 18-year-old brother who raised him and 5 other siblings. But he's had a tough going, but a kid that you want to root for because he's been through so much, but just an exciting player to watch and one of my favorite guys.
And the other thing about Tonell Carter that kind of jumps off the page is that, he's got this breakaway speed. His coach lists him at a 4.4, and I'd believe it. It's somewhere between a 4.4 and a 4.5. It ain't a whole lot slower than that. Todd Thompson lists him there. that's fine. That's not necessarily out of outrageous for a guy who's maybe 160 pounds and just a real just kind of flyweight burner on the outside. This guy's this guy, depending on who you ask, could be listed anywhere between 200 and 210 pounds. This guy's beefy for that kind of speed.
Exactly. Bowling ball. I mean, you look at him up close. He's built, low to the ground, but he's stocky with a stocky build, and he can get it now. He can hit that seam and get to the end zone quick, fast, in a hurry. But a kid that I like a lot and one of my favorite guys in the 2017 class.
Another guy who's getting a lot of attention of late down there, making the leap from down there in 5A, rather, is Wiley East running back Eno Benjamin. Another guy, kind of beefy, 5'10", 210 pounds, 4'5", and a 40. This kid is something else. He really burst on the scene a couple of years ago, almost as a freshman. He got a taste of varsity play. Ever since then, it's been up and up and up for Eno Benjamin. When you watch Eno Benjamin on film, what stands out to you?
I've seen Eno and been following him, like you said, since his freshman year. Just a fun kid to be around. He's a kid that you'll see at all the camps out there, the Nike camps, the FBU camps. I just saw him the other day, and he's always got a smile on his face. He's out there. He's competing. He loves the game of football. He has a great personality, just a great kid to be around. But when I look at him, he's a blue-collar runner, hard-nosed, downhill kid that sees the hole, and he gets up in that hole quickly. But he's a north and south guy. He's got the wiggle you need, but he's a north and south guy, that one cut guy that can get up the field and score quickly. But he's also, when I watched him at camp a couple of weeks ago, he's an excellent wide receiver. He can get out there on the slot and go up against some of the best corners and runs good routes, has great hands. But another special guy that's going to have a great future ahead of him.
And obviously, Coach Lepsis, Joe Lepsis there at Wiley, says he's the best running back he's ever coached, and I think that kind of jumps off the page. Yeah, the kind of speed that he's got, and I think you're exactly right. As an underrated thing these days, when you see running backs who kind of want to go out there and for lack of a better term, they want to get out there and dance. You know what I mean? They want to dance. They want to kind of juke guys and make sure that make them miss and make them look silly, turn them all around. Eno Benjamin can do that if he needs to, but what I love about him is when he lowers his shoulder and says, "Let's go," because that's when he goes from being a really good running back to something special to me.
Right, exactly, and that's what he wants to do. He wants to make a cut or two, and he wants to get north and south right away. So I really like this kid.
We're talking with James Brooke, the official analyst, or James Brooke. I'm looking up Kennedy Brooks right now, which is a problem. We're talking with James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football here on DCTF Live. Get involved in the conversation at #DCTF Live. I guess I spoiled the last one.
Yeah.
Last one. Mansfield running back Kennedy Brooks. To me, no conversation about running backs in the 2017 class can be complete without a discussion of Kennedy Brooks, another DFW area guy who was just amazing as a junior. 3,500-yard rusher. You just don't see that these days. A 3,500-yard rusher, 42 touchdowns. When you take a look at Kennedy Brooks, what jumps off the screen to you?
There's not many people out there running the I formation anymore, but for those offenses that are the Arkansas, like those type of schools, perfect I back. I mean, this guy is a workhorse. I watched him throughout the playoffs last year down at Texas Stadium, and I just sat there and I watched him in awe. He's a kid that you can give the ball 35-plus times, and he's going to put it on his shoulders, and he's lowering those pads, and he's coming straight downhill. He runs with a great blend of speed and power, downhill runner. You can't arm tackle him. Don't even think about it. You better break down and get to his legs. But just a workhorse kid that's got excellent vision. Another decisive one-cut guy that's going to get downhill quick, fast, and in a hurry into the end zone. Love this kid a lot, and I'm surprised he doesn't have more than 12 offers. I'm very surprised about that.
The numbers for Kennedy Brooks last year were staggering. We mentioned the 3,500 yards rushing, 42 touchdowns. To me, you hit on it. This kid gets the ball and gets the ball and gets the ball. He averaged almost 29 carries a game last year. And when you get that, there's inevitably going to be your average rush per game is going to be tamped down a bit just because you're getting the ball so much. He ran the ball 431 times. He averaged more than 8 yards a carry. So that means on first down, you're turning around, you're handing it to him. Next time, it's 2nd and 2. That's insane.
Right, and he's getting it on 3rd and 8 too. Mm-hmm. So it was good. It was funny watching him in the playoffs because everybody on the sideline, plus the players on defense, knew he was putting the ball, but they didn't have a chance to stop it. He's just a downhill special kid. He loves the game. He loves the contact part of it, but that you don't see that anymore. Kids that want to just get down there and get dirty and nasty anymore. But he's definitely one to watch here as we go into 2017.
He is James Lott. He is the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. Be sure to follow him on Twitter at JL Scouting. James, appreciate your time as always, and we will do it again next week.
Talk to you guys later.
There he goes, James Lott, the official recruiting analyst of Dave Campbell's Texas Football. That's the stunning number for Kennedy Brooks. I mean, look, the class of guys who've run for 3,500 yards it doesn't take long to call a roll.
No.
Maybe even smaller is the class of guys who are getting the ball 28 times a game.
Yeah.
In the age of the spread, and the spread not only is kind of a mindset as far as how far wide you're getting out, but also getting the ball to a lot of different weapons too. I mean, you see these numbers, guys will get, 28 carries a game at like the 2A level.
Yeah.
Because that's all they got.
Right.
That he's their workhorse, and so they're just going to say, all right, you're just going to carry us to the promised land. We saw it a couple of years ago when David Moore, the Mason running back, set the state record for carries in a season or carries in a career, maybe both. Right. I would need to check the record books. But you don't see this at the 6A level. You just don't.
No.
You don't see teams that just say, all right, well, we're just going to hand it to our running back 28 times a game, especially in an age. Right. You're a lot more likely to see guys who are throwing the ball 28 times a game.
Yeah.
Guys are throwing the ball 28 times a game very regularly. Carrying the ball 28 times a game, that's something else. And to do that 8 yards a pop is out of control.
Yeah, and I wonder if the lack of offers that James is referring to is simply because he really does fit probably a pro-style, I-style offense, and a lot of these wide-open spread teams go, he's really not the kind of guy we need, right?
Yeah.
And they might be missing out. They may be right. They may be wrong. But I'm not too worried about him. I'm sure he's going to find a pretty awesome landing spot.
So he's got offers right now from Arkansas. He would fit very well there. Illinois, who just hired Lovie Smith, who would love to pound the ball. Kansas, David Beatty's an interesting case. Michigan, interesting. Minnesota seems like. I mean, honestly, I don't want to. I want every Texas kid to stay in Texas. Right. Every great Texas kid to stay in Texas. Dude, this kid's a Big Ten running back. I mean, I'm sorry.
Look,
I hate to be like that.
The first three teams that came to mind when he's talking about where he fits and things like that, Michigan, Stanford, Arkansas.
Yeah,
right?
Michigan, Stanford. I mean, if you want to
those are the three offenses I go, oh, yeah, he seems like that kind of
If you want to throw like LSU in there,
sure.
He's right. He's that kind of running back.
Yeah.
But you're right. He's the guy that you turn to every down and go, see ya. Go get them. But yeah, those offenses are getting more and more rare across the nation. So I think that's it. Now we gotta finish.
Let's get back to work.
We gotta finish a magazine, guys.
Quit
so
goofing
we're gonna
off.
cut it 2 minutes short today. Very sorry. Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Follow us on Twitter at DCTF. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Dave Campbell's. Follow us on Instagram, instagram.com/Dave Campbell's. And of course, see us at texasfootball.com. Vince Young, please come get your Player of the Year trophy. And we will see you tomorrow. It's deadline day here on DCTF Live.